evening. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hopefully, you can hear me. Last week, we had a real issue with the sound, and I actually had to delete the live and re record the information and post it. So I'm hoping and would love to hear if I can be heard well right now. Or heard at all for that matter. But I will proceed and I'll hope that I'll get a text or a comment that you can, in fact, hear me. I see that there are a few folks on, so welcome and thank you for joining me this evening. So let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully you can hear me well. So the topics tonight, two topics actually, I decided to put together because I saw these areas as areas where people after divorce, thank you, I got an okay, so we're good to go. People after divorce complicate their lives so profoundly. And as if going through a divorce isn't traumatic and complicated enough. And as we move into our new life after divorce, we can, because we're not able to think clearly and because we are so hurting, we can make some really bad choices. And the two areas which I have seen in my nearly 17 years now of coaching and leading support groups is that folks will get themselves into trouble with either sex or money. Now, there are many areas that we can complicate our life with. That could be alcohol, that could be drugs, that could be doing dangerous things. There's a whole list. But the majority, the major issues that I see and the folks that I deal with are those two areas, either in sex or money. So I want to talk to those about right now because they can both mess with your head and disrupt your life from moving forward. And I want to prevent the issues that are going to cause you to stumble so you can see clearly and you can focus on building your new life and make it a secure life and a beautiful life in which God wants for you to have. So let's get rid of all the stuff that's going to distract us, and let's begin to focus on ourselves and building our life that we want and building a future, because we know life on its own is complicated enough. Now, let me just say, first, I want to tell you, when we started talking about sex in one of my groups many, many years ago, there was a dear woman in the group. And as we were talking about it and talking through, I don't remember if it was during class or after class, she said, Kathy, you know we're not listening to you, right? When I talk about sexuality. And I get that. It's hard to hear. It's hard to hear. It comes across prudish sometimes. But I still feel obligated to share that information with you because, again, I don't want you to go through more hurt and more complication because you have been through enough. And that's my goal, is for you to avoid the complications that are going to take place. So, as always, you can ask questions. You can text me. I have my phone right here. If you have a comment or a question and you want to be anonymous, or you can post a comment here and it will be seen by all those who are viewing this broadcast. So, but always, I want your participation. So I want to talk first about sexual complications. That's what I'm going to call them. And I would hope that you would view them as anything outside of marriage, or as you're unhealed, it's simply a complication. That's what it is. I understand how torn and raw you are as you go through this process. And the aftermath is difficult. How do you pick up all the pieces? How do you do that? You are so raw. And your heart is crying for validation. And you want someone just to hold you and to show you how wonderful you are, and to be attracted to you and to care for you and to come close to you and to feel that skin on skin. it seems like it should be just so right now because you are so raw. But because you are so vulnerable and you are not healed, this complication is there because you can't think straight. Your perception of yourself, other people, and the world is skewed right now. I know I can say that because I was there. It's wacky, and we are not thinking clearly because we're raw, we're broken, we're needing healing. So we can rationalize everything, right? Anyone else here really good at rationalizing? We can rationalize it, or we can deny the truth of it because we think our hearts need it so badly. Well, it's a temporary fix, and it's an artificial fix, and it is not real. And it changes our attachment with a person. So once you've had sex with a person, that attachment is changed forever. And your brain chemicals are changing. So it makes it more complicated if you were to get into the next relationship and jump into sex. So I hope that makes it a little clear. I know it's a hard argument for me to make because I totally get it. I was there, made lots of mistakes. But I want you to have the knowledge and the ability to say, hey, I want to work on that. So I want to give you some things to do with that. First of all, work on your healing. Work on your healing so you are able to see clearly. Get yourself some distractions. Exercise. Non-sexual environment. Keep yourself in non-sexual environments. Don't find yourself in a romantic restaurant or a romantic setting. Focus on your self-care and realize that you are wanting sex. You are wanting this connection with another human being because you are needing comfort. And there are better places and more healthy places to get that comfort. So find those distractions. I remember a woman in my group said, you know what? I run. That's what I do. Whenever I have the thoughts of sex, I will go out and I will run, and I will run hard. And I find myself running a lot lately. And that's okay because she is keeping herself focused on her healing and using those healthy distractions. And understand that you are seeking for comfort, you are seeking for validation. Find those areas. Go through that therapy, go through that support group, be able to vocalize what is going on in you so you can begin that healing process. So very important. Sex is powerful and it can mess us up for a very long time and be a negative distraction from building your strong, healthy, independent life to get you ready for the next relationship if that's the direction that you want to go. So I hope that all makes sense. There are a couple, this is one verse that I think is one that has to be explored and read. And that is flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against his own body. So we need to look at what are my views of sexuality, and are they healthy viewpoints? Do they need some good consultation or some good contribution into my life to change what I'm thinking? And I know my advice, what I'm suggesting to you, goes against all the norm, all the world will tell you. And you will hear it from friends and people. Just go find a one night stand. Just go find another person. Just go, this casual belief on sex. And yet, if we look at this in the true spiritual form, the truth of the creator who made sex, who says you're sinning against your own body. What person would want to do that? No, we want to care for our bodies. We want to work on our healing. Okay, enough about that. Let's go to money complications. Okay, we all know that divorce disrupts our finances totally, turns them upside down. Many of you are living on half of what you had in the past during your married life. So you are having to make some changes, right? I know you are. Many of you perhaps have not handled your finances before. Maybe your spouse handled all the finances, so this is new to you. Maybe you are bent on, again, seeking for comfort, just like sex. You are doing the emotional purchasing. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to validate that I can do this. I'm going to feel better by buying this convertible car or, something that you can't afford. So we can do that emotional purchasing for comfort to get ourselves to feel better. We want to prove something. We want to prove something to other people that I can do this. And to our former spouse, we want to prove something. Well, you're only going to prove that you are going to get yourself in an incredible amount of debt and have a lot of issues because of it. So I would ask you to explore, what is your mindset about money? Because that's really what's going to get us in the most trouble. What is our mindset? What are we thinking about money? Oh, it's just to use to prove myself, to validate myself, to comfort myself. No, or is it tools? Is money the tools that you need to create the beautiful life, independent life that's not dependent and not in debt? Because when you are dependent and you are in debt, you are a slave to the borrower. The scripture states that. It's pretty clear. So what do you do? What to do? What to do as you go into this new world of finances? So first of all, I'm going to encourage you to simplify. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Spend very conservatively. This is not the time to make a huge purchase. If you can, keep it at least a year after the divorce so you don't make any large purchases. Again, because your head is not in the right place. You're not the person you're going to be in the future. Right now, you're hurting and you need healing, and you're not going to get it by spending money. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. So spend conservatively. Know the cash flow. Put it out before you in a spreadsheet. If you don't use spreadsheets, then put it out on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter how primitive you do your finances as long as you do them accurately. Don't think you have to do some fancy spreadsheets. Just put it into a system that works for you. And if you have a system, if you have a system, let me get this out here. If you have a system, is it the best one for you? Or is it maybe a system you used when you were married and you need to look into some other systems? So empower yourself. Again, we're going to look at our attitude about money. Empower yourself by not spending. There's that mind shift that we need to make. I'm going to empower myself by not spending. I'm going to empower myself by simplifying, by being conservative in how I spend. I'm going to empower myself by having a system that works for me. Doesn't matter if anyone else thinks it works or thinks it's a silly or a primitive or elementary system. Doesn't matter. What matters is it works for you. So empower yourself in other ways. Get some input. Be humble enough and brave enough to take the financial class. Get a financial mentor. That's not always a financial advisor. You have to be careful if you're stepping into getting a new financial advisor, that you're getting the right one that has a teacher's heart and not a salesman's heart. So get a financial mentor. And that could be a whole session in itself. But start seeking someone you respect who handles money. Ask them who they use, or ask them if they'd chat with you. Find that safe person to spread out your finances and develop a system if you need to. Again, check your mindset on that. Trick your brain by saying, I am more powerful when I don't spend my money than when I do spend, when you are tempted to do a lot of spending. So the goal here is to build a strong and pure mindset on sex and money. This is going to empower you, is going to keep you out of complications that abound in the world out there. And so many people fall into them. So many people. It hurts me to see the people make continual mistakes and come back to me for their second divorce. I see them on their second or third marriage. It hurts. And time is too short. Life is too short. You wasted enough time with negative relationships and wasting money on lawyers and attorneys and or lawyers and legal process and all of that. So build a strong and pure mindset on sex and money, and you will go far because of it. You have to have that big vision. You have to be working on your future. Scripture's promises you will keep speaking God. God will keep you in perfect peace, whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Focus. Find your peace with God in finances and in sex and in all areas. Keep yourself pure and be in perfect peace. Create in me a clean heart, oh God. That's what David prayed in the book of Psalms. Renew a steadfast spirit within me. You're going to need help. You can't do this on your own. You're going to need that support, those experts that are going to come alongside of you. But I ask you just to think about, what is my mindset on sex and money, and how is it going to hurt me personally? And you'll have your own individual reasons for that. But how am I going to help myself if I have a strong and independent and dependent on God's truth that teaches me how to live my life, that I can become a healthy person? And in the future, there will be money and perhaps a marriage, and there will be sex. Who knows? The future is certainly unknown. But protect yourself. Create that strong and pure mindset. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce. Good evening.